With winter approaching and the weather getting colder, we often find ourselves longing for warmer regions. Perhaps you have dreamed of traveling to the tropics, diving to explore beautiful coral reefs, or seeing the vibrant, colorful creatures of the rainforest. Indeed, tropical areas are filled with flashy, exotic creatures we rarely see elsewhere. But have you ever wondered why tropical organisms are so colorful? It's true that the tropics are exceptionally colorful. In the 19th century, the German explorer Alexander von Humboldt noted this exact phenomenon. He observed that as one approaches the equator, species diversity, structural elegance, color variation, and overall vitality significantly increase. This applies to both tropical rainforests and coral reefs. Today, we will explore why tropical life is so colorful. First, let us look at why vivid colors evolve in nature at all. Vibrant coloration is not random. It must offer an evolutionary advantage for survival and reproduction. Specifically, there are three primary evolutionary benefits to being colorful: courtship, communication, and warning coloration. The first is courtship, where color is used to attract mates. For example, male peacocks display large, flashy tail feathers. The more spectacular and vibrant their feathers, the more successful they are in attracting females and passing on their genes. The second benefit is intraspecies communication. When surrounding species are dull, having unique colors like bright red or blue makes it easy to identify members of one's own species. This distinct visual identity helps species coordinate and socialize, directly boosting their survival rates. The final reason is warning coloration, also known as aposematism. This is a visual defense where organisms signal that they are toxic or dangerous to deter predators. Think of poison dart frogs, which come in brilliant reds, blues, and yellows, or venomous wasps with distinct yellow and black stripes. Faced with a choice, a predator is highly likely to avoid a brightly colored insect, proving how effective warning coloration can be. But why does being flashy protect them? After all, predators do not inherently know that bright colors mean poison. The secret lies in cognitive learning. Advanced predators like birds and reptiles have strong learning capabilities. If they ingest a toxic creature and fall ill, they learn to avoid it in the future. They learn from these negative experiences, associating the prey's appearance with sickness. Now, imagine two toxic creatures. One is dull and the other is vibrant. Which one do you think a predator will remember and avoid next time? Naturally, the vibrant one. A dull, toxic creature is easily forgotten and likely to be attacked again, lowering its species' survival rate. Conversely, a flashy, toxic creature leaves a lasting impression. Over time, toxic species naturally evolve more striking warning colors to stay alive. So, it is not that all flashy creatures are toxic, but rather that toxic creatures adaptively evolve to become flashy. With courtship, communication, and warning colors in mind, we still have not answered our main question. Why are these colors so concentrated in the tropics? Let us delve into why the tropics host such an extraordinary concentration of colorful life. Most direct answer is quite simple. The tropics simply have an overwhelming abundance of different species. Consider this. While tropical rainforests cover only about 6% of the Earth's land surface, they are home to over 50% of all animal and plant species. To put this incredible biodiversity into perspective, the famous entomologist E.O. Wilson once found 43 species of ants on a single tree in Peru. That single tree hosted as many ant species as there are in the entire British Isles combined. Furthermore, in the 1970s, entomologist Terry Irwin used canopy fogging on tropical trees and discovered that 96% of the insects collected were entirely new to science, leading him to estimate that tropical rainforests could house up to 30 million insect species. With so many species coexisting, does high biodiversity directly drive the evolution of bright colors? Absolutely. First, purely statistically, more species mean more opportunities for color to emerge. Second, dense biodiversity forces species to become highly specialized. For example, some non-toxic species might evolve bright colors to mimic toxic ones. Additionally, with so many similar species sharing the same habitat, organisms must develop highly distinct, eye-catching colors to identify mates. So, extreme species diversity naturally breeds colorfulness, but this raises a deeper question. Why are there so many species in the tropics in the first place? Biodiversity is highly dependent on latitude. It is highest at the equator and steadily decreases as you move toward the north and south poles. This phenomenon is called the latitudinal diversity gradient, a trend that fossil records show has existed for over 500 million years. While the exact cause remains a subject of scientific debate, there are several highly compelling theories. The first is the energy theory. Since the tropics receive the most direct sunlight year-round, plants thrive through extensive photosynthesis. This abundant plant life supports a massive population of herbivores, which in turn supports a vast network of predators, fueling high biodiversity. More energy means more life. However, if primary productivity is too high, predator populations can surge, potentially overconsuming prey and reducing overall species counts. In fact, some data suggests diversity peaks at intermediate productivity levels, meaning the energy theory does not explain everything. The second explanation is the climate stability theory, which focuses on the remarkably stable tropical environment throughout the year. Unlike other regions that experience dramatic seasonal shifts in temperature and rainfall, tropical rainforests maintain high heat and precipitation year-round without seasons. With food constantly available and no harsh winters to endure, organisms do not have to expend massive amounts of energy just to survive environmental extremes. In contrast, desert plants must grow deep roots to find water, and animals in freezing climates need specialized fur or must hibernate through winter. Adapting to harsh, changing environments consumes a lot of evolutionary energy. Free from these constraints, tropical organisms can invest their biological energy elsewhere. They can specialize, hone extreme ecological niches, and develop highly intricate physical traits. This leads to a massive radiation of highly specialized, unique species. Think of the color blue, which is incredibly rare in nature. Very few organisms can actually produce blue pigment chemically. So, how do tropical blue animals exist? Instead of blue pigments, they rely on microstructures on their body surfaces to reflect blue light. The famous bright blue morpho butterfly, for instance, has microscopic nanostructures on its wing scales that reflect only blue wavelengths. This is called structural color. It is the same mechanism that gives jewel beetles their iridescent shine through light interference across transparent surface layers. Almost all blue reptiles, amphibians, birds, and fish use structural color. True blue pigments are exceedingly rare. Under stable tropical conditions, organisms have the luxury to develop these complex structural colors. The third explanation is the historical climate stability theory, which looks at climate patterns over deep geological time. While ice ages expanded glaciers across the poles and wiped out massive numbers of species in temperate zones, the warm tropics never froze over. This allowed tropical life to undergo uninterrupted evolution and diversification over millions of years, while other regions had to repeatedly reset after major extinctions. The fourth theory is the temperature theory. Higher temperatures in equatorial regions directly boost metabolic rates. With faster metabolism and growth, generation times are shortened, leading to accelerated rates of genetic mutation and evolutionary change. These theories are not mutually exclusive. The sheer abundance of solar energy fuels massive bioproductivity. A stable climate and plentiful food resources allow species to refine niche traits without wasting survival energy on harsh winters. An ancient unfrozen history provides uninterrupted evolutionary time, and warm temperatures speed up generational cycles. These factors combine to create the ultimate crucible for biodiversity, giving rise to the incredibly colorful species we admire today. But if the tropics naturally favor bright colors, why didn't human populations living in tropical rainforests evolve colorful skins, like green or bright red? While human skin color does vary, developing more dark melanin near the equator to protect against intense UV rays, we did not become vibrantly colorful. In fact, humans are not an exception. Mammals as a whole are notoriously dull-colored, rarely showing flashy or green skins. Why is that? Unlike reptiles, amphibians, and insects, many of which are bright green to blend into foliage, mammals do not even have green camouflage. Most mammals are limited to shades of brown, black, gray, or white. To understand why mammals are so visually plain, we must look back at our deep evolutionary history during the age of the dinosaurs. The earliest mammal ancestors, such as Basileus, emerged at about 225 million years ago, around the same time dinosaurs appeared. Because dinosaurs ruled the planet until 66 million years ago, more than two-thirds of mammalian evolutionary history was spent coexisting with these giants. Dinosaurs completely dominated the terrestrial landscape. To survive under their rule, mammals were forced to avoid direct competition entirely. They did this by retreating underground and adopting a strictly nocturnal lifestyle, staying hidden while dinosaurs slept. This nocturnal bottleneck reshaped mammalian biology. Unable to bask in the daytime sun for warmth, they evolved to generate their own heat, becoming warm-blooded. To stay mobile and escape predators, they stopped laying eggs and began carrying their young internally via a placenta. They also remained very small, mostly mouse-sized, to easily hide and survive on minimal resources. The most dramatic shifts occurred in their sensory organs. In pitch-black environments, vision was of little use, so mammals prioritized hearing and smell. Consequently, their color vision, once highly developed, began to degenerate and was largely lost. While humans possess trichromatic vision with 3 types of color receptors, reptiles, birds, amphibians, and fish actually see in tetrachromacy. They can perceive ultraviolet light in addition to the standard visible spectrum. In stark contrast, almost all non-human mammals possess only dichromatic vision, meaning they can only perceive 2 primary colors. Humans only re-evolved trichromacy much later in primate evolution. Because ancestral mammals were colorblind, there was no evolutionary benefit to being colorful. Since courtship and communication rely on others of your own species recognizing those signals, there is no point in having bright colors if your species cannot perceive them. Therefore, flashy coats never evolved as a tool for mammalian mating displays or social interactions. But what about warning colors meant for other species? This also offers little advantage, as a mammal's main predators are typically other mammals. Because mammalian predators also lack advanced color vision, trying to deter them with bright colors is largely ineffective. Take the tiger as a prime example. While humans see a bright orange tiger standing out starkly against green foliage, its prey, such as deer, cannot. With their dichromatic vision, deer are unable to distinguish between red-orange tones and green. To them, the tiger's orange coat blends seamlessly into the forest. Because orange pigments are chemically much easier to produce than green ones, mammals like the tiger had no evolutionary pressure to develop green fur. And that is how evolutionary history and sensory mechanics shape the wonderful colors of our world. Thank you so much for watching. We hope this gave you a new perspective on the fascinating biology of animal coloration. See you next time.